Good morning, everybody. My name is Carrie, and this here is Danu, the Osprey, and we are here at Cascades Raptor Center, joined by Mountain Rose Herbs virtual community, and we're here today to do a live stream telling you a little bit about Osprey, a little bit about the center, and answering your questions. So please feel free to pop up those questions anytime you might have them. So, like I said, we're here at the Cascades Raptor Center today. We are in Eugene, Oregon, and we are a center that specializes in birds of prey. So we do education, just like we're doing today, teaching the public all about how amazing these birds of prey are. And to do that, we have very special birds like Danu here, whose job has changed from being a bird out in the wild to being an ambassador for her species. She's going to talk over me this whole time. So Danu here joined our team in 2011 and has been delighting audiences ever since. The other part of what we do is that we are a wildlife hospital, so we take in injured, orphaned, wounded birds of prey. We treat them here in our hospital, and we release them back into the wild. That's our number one goal. So those are the two parts of the Raptor Center. Sorry. Danu. So as I said, Danu is one of our resident Osprey here at the Cascades Raptor Center. Osprey are extremely amazing raptors. They are specialized for catching fish. These guys are able to dive down underneath the water, grab onto their fish, and then pull themselves back out of the water while carrying their fish. Now, bald eagles, which are our other fishing raptors, they can't dive under the water. So if they go in too deep, they end up getting in the water, not being able to pull themselves out, and awkwardly having to swim to shore. Whereas osprey, they will basically, like a pike dive, they'll fold themselves in half, their wings will go out backwards, they'll dive down into the water, and they can go about 3 to 4 feet underneath that water, grab onto their fish, like I said, pull it out. Immediately they'll orient it so that it is facing forward because it's more aerodynamic to fly with it that way, and then land on the beach or land in a tree and enjoy their fish that they caught. Like that. Now, one of the amazing specializations that osprey have are those amazing feet. So if you look at her feet there, I don't know if you guys can see them for our virtual community, her talons are much more hooked than all of the other osprey. So instead of having a nice kind of curved talon like that, hers actually hook around kind of like that, just like 4 fish hooks on the bottom of each foot. And then the other thing that osprey have are spines on the bottoms of their feet. So if you've ever been fishing, you've tried to hold on to fish, you know they're slippery and slimy and hard to hold on to. But imagine if you had spines on the bottoms of your feet or your hands. You'd be a lot better able to catch those fish and hold on to those slippery fish. So really cool adaptations that osprey have for sure. We getting any questions? Otherwise I can continue talking.
Are their feet ticklish?
Are their feet ticklish? No, osprey don't have ticklish feet, at least not that I've noticed. I've never really tried to tickle her feet. What do you think, Danu? So osprey are pretty easy to see right now. They like to build huge stick nests on the top of power poles, power lines, telephone poles, cell phone towers, out in the middle of the open. And right now, if you are driving by, there's still some babies in the nest, although these guys are getting ready to migrate. So osprey do migrate out of the area every year. They will fly all the way down to Central America and even to South America to overwinter down there. And we read a fun fact last night when we were brushing up on our osprey facts, and that was that osprey will sometimes even fly overnight. Oof. Good girl, Danu. Will fly overnight, and they have tracked osprey flying 12 hours straight which is pretty incredible. That is a lot of flying for these birds. No questions coming up, huh?
Having a little technical difficulties that we're trying to get straightened out.
And maybe you can just let folks know that the Cascades Raptor Center live stream did not take.
So the live stream from the Raptor Center is not working, so hopefully those people can migrate over here to the Mountain Rose Herbs live stream so that they can see all of this. We have issues with our internet being up here on the side of Spencer's Butte. It's not always the best, for sure.
Remy wants to know if they are aerial divers.
Are they aerial divers? So if you mean by diving through the air, yes, they are. Like I said, they'll kind of do like a half pike, so they'll fold their head, which will go down next to their feet. Their wings go straight out the back. Obviously, I can't do it. I'm not that flexible. And they're really, really cool to see dive. If you ever get a chance to watch Osprey fishing, they're pretty incredible. And a lot of people's experience with wild osprey involve either watching them fish or watching bald eagles come and harass osprey, because bald eagles, not the nicest of the raptors, and they will oftentimes harass an osprey into dropping a fish because that's easier than catching their own fish. So another really cool natural thing to see is an eagle chasing an osprey. Not so nice for the osprey, but
A lot of questions coming up here. Could you tell them about Danu and how Danu came here? I think it'll answer a lot of these questions.
yes, so Danu's personal story. So like I said, Danu came to us in 2011, so 9 years ago. And Danu was one of two chicks that was removed from the nest after her father was killed in an accident. So with Osprey, it takes two parents to successfully raise Osprey chicks. She didn't have one of her parents, and so she went without food at a very critical time in her development. And what that did was it made her basically physically and mentally stunted. So she is small. For being a female, she should be a little bit bigger than she is. And then mentality-wise, her brain didn't fully develop. So she exhibits signs of a normal osprey, like standing here on the glove and being totally okay with all meeting new people, with people being around, with cameras around, all that jazz.
Carrie, can you explain to people how we do our training here with our amazing ambassadors and what makes them really special?
Yes, I can. So the question was, what kind of training do we use? So we use positive reinforcement training with all of our birds. And that's a great way to train, because essentially what it does is it gives the bird a choice to work or not. So it's all choice-based training. So if you've been up to the Raptor Center, or if you haven't, I'll explain. Danu's aviary, she has very, very tall perches. So tall enough that there's no way I can force her to come down in any way. So when I walked up to her aviary this morning, Danu was ready to go. She decided to hover down on her own, but she made that choice. And when she makes that choice, I reward her with yummy bits of food. So that's a reinforcement, a positive reinforcement. And that reinforcement today is rabbit. So when you see me giving her food, she is eating rabbit, not part of their normal wild diet, but as you can see, she very much likes it. She has no issues with it. So yeah, positive reinforcement training is what we use with our birds. And these guys are extremely special. These guys are not like your everyday raptor. All of our birds here that are a part of our education team have undergone a long period of assessment to make sure they are the right bird for the job. So that they are comfortable meeting our tens of thousands of guests every year, that they are comfortable participating in positive reinforcement training, and all that.
Carrie, can you talk about the difference between how osprey hunt and the bald eagles hunt?
Yeah, is that I kind of went over that a little bit already, but I can go over it again. Um, so bald eagles can only really skim fish off the surface, so they can't dive down underneath the water. If they go in too deep, they can't pull themselves out. But because of the way that osprey's wings are, they're set a little bit lower down on the body rather than coming up right here at the shoulder. They kind of come out a little bit lower, and their huge wingspan and that angle, they are able to pull themselves back out of the water so they can dive down in, whereas a bald eagle cannot.
How can people come and visit the birds?
So we are open to the public. You can come visit Tuesday through Sunday. We're open right now from 10 to 4. And to purchase tickets, you'll have to go to our website. So we're doing all online ticket purchasing right now. Pick a time slot, sign up for those tickets, and you can come up and visit Danu and all the other amazing avian ambassadors here at the center.
Carrie, what kind of raptors might they see here with different species?
Oh, so we have lots of different types of raptors. We have lots of different species of owls, great horned owls, saw-whet owl, or not saw-whet, excuse me, screech owl, barn owl, barred owl. We have osprey, we have turkey vultures, we have bald eagles, we have golden eagles. Danu. She says, give me more food. We have falcons, American kestrels, peregrine falcons, lots of different types of hawks. So tons of different residents here at the center.
Carrie, can you tell me a little bit about Danu's feet and how they're different from other raptors' feet?
I can. I also did that already, but I will do it again.
Thank you.
So osprey have those amazing feet with those hooked like talons, so essentially 4 fish hooks on the bottom of each foot. Really good for catching fish, obviously. And then the other thing they have are those spines, which if you want a fancy word are called spicules. And those spicules help them to grip onto slippery fish.
Sheena would like to know how the birds come to live with you.
So the question is, how do the birds come to live with us? They all have very different stories, and all of their stories are on their aviaries. So we have birds that were illegally raised by humans and then don't know how to be wild birds. We have birds that have eye issues, so are missing an eye completely or have damage to an eye that prevents them from being fully capable of hunting on their own. We have residents that had wing injuries in the past that prevent them from being completely fully flighted, so they can't survive on their own. But all the birds that live on site are here for the rest of their lives due to one reason or another.
About how many birds come through the Raptor Center a year?
So actually this is a record year. Usually we see about 300 patients in our hospital. I'm assuming that was the question, is how many birds coming through our hospital. This year I think we are above 300 already, which is pretty incredible. So definitely a busier year. That might be because, you know, with people home so much more, people are finding injured birds more. Otherwise, we don't really know why it's been such a record year, but I think we saw over 70 birds in June, which is pretty crazy for us.
Carrie, what's the goal for those birds that come into the hospital?
So our goal for all of our birds that come into the hospital, all of our patients, is to release them back into the wild. So they go through whatever treatment they need to. We try to have as little interactions with them as possible. They're very different than Danu here and our other avian ambassadors. They don't want to be around people. They're scared. They're stressed. So we treat them how we need to with their food. If we can feed them once a day, that's great. Give them their medication. And then have as little interactions with them as possible, eventually, hopefully, releasing them back into the wild. If they're an adult bird, we try to release back in the habitat that they were found in, because some of them have established territories, so we want to get them back to where they're used to. If they're babies, because we have lots of babies come in, especially this year, we had tons of baby barn owls this year, we'll pick good habitats for them. We have a relationship with several vineyards and other organic farms that have owl boxes, and we'll release there. It's a great natural pest control for them.
How is the organization funded?
Good question. So how is the organization funded? We are fully community supported. So through admissions, donations, sponsorships for the birds, and sponsorships of very generous people like Mountain Rose Herbs, we are funded that way. So we get no government funding, nothing like that. We get occasional grants, but mostly through our amazing community.
Carrie, how have things been different during this pandemic?
Oh, so during this pandemic, so we closed our doors to the public in March, and we were closed for 3 months total, 2 months total, and so that was really hard because that was our busiest season for programming, for admissions. So we spent that time basically running just staff. We have an amazing team of volunteers, about 70 total, that we furloughed. So it was a small group of us that came and cared for the birds and stuck it out. So we're happy to be open again to the public. We're happy to be bringing in those admissions. Happy the birds. We have several birds that definitely missed seeing people. So they're happy to get those interactions as well again.
Barbara would like to know if you have a volunteer site.
So do we have a volunteer site? We, on our website, cascadesraptorcenter.org, we do have a volunteer application, but we are not currently accepting volunteers right now. Those 70 or so furloughed volunteers are still waiting to come back. We are very slowly opening our doors again to volunteers. So there is an application, there is a site, but we don't expect to probably take any new volunteers until the new year at least.
Heidi would like to know if birds of prey can contract rabies if they grabbed a rabid rabbit or...
So can birds contract rabies? No, they don't get rabies, which is really nice. The nice thing about birds is that most of the diseases that they contract don't spread to mammals. So mammals being, or rabies being mostly a mammalian disease, birds don't get rabies.
Carrie, we're another person watching would like to know where we get all of our food.
So we get our food from different sources. It's definitely our number one expense, food is. And we get, what do you think? We have a mouse barn, so we breed our own mice, but we can't keep up with our demand, so we get additional mice and rats from a breeder out of Newport, Oregon. We get quail and chicken from a local breeder. We get fish from a local company. And then we get our rabbits from local breeders who breed for show, and we get the non-show quality rabbits or the retired breeding rabbits.
Our Instagram folks want to know if you have a favorite bird.
So that is an impossible question, and I know that's kind of a cop-out, but do I have a favorite bird? It depends on the day. So some days Danu is my favorite. Frequently Danu is my favorite bird. I also really love our turkey vulture, Leafy. I love our great horned lorax. I mean, when you work with these guys every day, it definitely changes from day to day. Favorite species, though, probably white-tailed kites are my favorite species. we very, very rarely see white-tailed kites. We had 2 resident white-tailed kites who were amazing, but unfortunately they passed away several years ago. So we're gonna be about done here. Thank you again so much for joining us. Thanks to Mountain Rose Herbs for sponsoring us and for letting us take over their virtual space for a little bit. And I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday.